Good morning, students. I'm BK Ghosh. This is Assistant Professor, Department of Humanities. This is the subject HS MC 501. This is the introduction to industrial management. Okay. Our today's topic is PPC, that is the production planning and control. Okay. So, what are actually the production planning and control, and what are the steps? As per Ray Wild, the steps for PPC, that is production planning and control, are first the competing for firstly the competing for time on same facility, commencing the production activity, progressing, follow up, and there is a process of feedback and corrections. Okay, so now these are the steps. Now, what are the basic objective of PPC? That is production planning and control. There is a clear 6 to 7 objectives regarding the PPC, production planning and control. So first is that to deliver a quality product in required quantity, to optimize the cost reduction process, to maximize the utility level of all resources, to optimize the stock inventory level, flexibility in the process of operation, and contribution towards the profit. Okay. Now, production planning, when you're talking about the production planning, it is all about the plan the work. So, plan the work. What are the divisions in plan the work? In plan the work, we have 5 steps. Okay. That is, first we have planning, then it is sequencing, routing is the third, scheduling is the fourth, and loading is the fifth. So these are the plan your work or plan the work. This is the production plan. And the second part is to control the production, that is the production control. So that is the work the plan. Okay, so first part is plan the work, and the second part is work the plan. Now, in production planning, production control, we have also, there are 4 segments. First one is dispatching is a part, follow up is the second part, inspection is most vital one, and taking the necessary corrective measures, that is also a plan. Okay. Now what are the actually the working plans? What are the working plans? Working plans means first anyone have to decide what to produce. So the first question, what to produce. So whenever it is a case of production planning, this always include the design for the specific product. Okay. Now, if you get the answer of the question what to produce, then anyone is trying to find the answer of the second question, that how to produce that material. Okay, how to produce. So in how to produce, there are so many things in how to produce segment. That is, sequencing is a big part, process planning, this is a big here, material planning, this is a big one, and last but not the least, the tools and equipment planning, that is also included within this. Okay, so after getting the answer of what to produce and how to produce, anyone can move to the third questions, which is where to produce. Okay, there is the third major question, where to produce. Whenever actually we are talking about routing, or we are talking about facility planning, we are talking about capacity planning, these are the answer in the of the question where to produce. Okay, now after getting that, the when to produce is again the question, next question, when to produce. So that will be determined by the sequencing and the loading of the machine. Okay, loading of the machine and sequencing and loading of the machine will determine the second case. And finally, who will produce, that is engagement of what type of things to produce the product or material. Okay, so that is a clear of the manpower planning, which is responsibility, which is a responsibility of the HRM, that is human resource management department in every organizations. And how much to produce is the another question. So, any production, this is the major decision, how much we should produce or how much the organization should produce. So that is the actually the marketing planning of the organization. So two big hero, one is the human resource planning, HRM, and second one is the marketing planning. That's how much industry to produce in what time, what is the quantity. So that will determine by the a proper crystal clear marketing process, which is associated with a forecasting in the forecasting process. So forecasting process, and in next time we have another thing, which is MRP, which is a material requirement planning. That is also associated with the forecasting and type of marketing. So that determines the MRP, actually material requirement planning. Okay, now whenever we talking about the production control, the 2-3 things we are getting here. So in production planning, whenever we are talking about production planning, then we are talking about production control. So first, when we are talking about production planning, then estimating is a big game. Estimating is a big issue in case of production planning. Okay, so type the amount of item to be produced against any type of sales forecasting or marketing forecasting. Okay, so estimating is a big work actually. Okay, then anyone have to determine the what would be the sequence of the operations. What are the sequence of the operations? That is actually known as routing, the process of routing. Then we come in the process of scheduling, and then it is loading, and after that it will be a dispatching procedure. Okay, so what is loading actually? So loading decide which job to be assigned first and which to be assigned next in a workstations, okay, or in a workshop or workstation. That is actually the process of loading. Okay, so you have to determine, you have to given in a written list what should be the loaded in first and what should be the which operation will be, which job will be in second position, which job in the first position. This is the process of within the production planning actually. Then whenever you are going to control the other two things, inspection is a big part in system of control, production control, inspection, and also taking the corrective measures or corrective actions time to time. That is also a big part in case of production control. Okay, so now if we think about the if we think the process of sequencing, how to sequence the job available, obviously available job into a machine or into workstations or into a workshop. So there are fixed sequencing rules which are followed by the big organization or big industry. Okay, so there are rules. Okay, so we have 7 rules which are commonly used in case of sequencing. Okay, so first we have FCFS, that is the first come first serve rule. Okay, first come first serve rule, which FCFS means this job which are allocated in the same sequence of arrival at the workstation. So which come first, that will be sequentially that will be in the first position, which comes later that will be in the second position. So which job is, what type of job that may be, which come first, that will be loaded first, or that will be sequence as number one job or first job. Okay, so first come first serve is a sequencing first rule. Okay, we have EDD here, EDD, this is the second rule, this is the earliest due date, that is also a sequencing rule. So what is EDD actually? EDD is job which with the earliest due date, which is the earliest due date, that should be given the highest priority. Okay, during the loading into the machine. Okay, so that is EDD. Okay, EDD, after EDD we have another process, another rule actually, which is LS, that is least slack. Okay, least slack. So slack means actually what is slack? First, no, what is slack? Slack is this is the difference between the available time and the duration the processing of the job. This gap is the, okay. So which job has the least slack, means minimum slack, that should be given the highest priority in the when the time of loading. Okay, so that is, so what is slack? So slack means the difference between the available time and the duration of processing the job, that is the least slack actually. Okay, now we have two rules. One is SPT and LPT, the two side by side, SPT and parallelly LPT. SPT is the which have shortest processing time, that is SPT, and the longest processing time, that will be the LPT. So shortest processing time means a job which you can finish with a lesser time, minimum time, that is the shortest processing time. And LPT is the longest processing time, the job which require a longer time of processing, a lengthy time of processing, or hours of processing. Okay, so according to the rule, whenever it is SPT, job which have an SPT, which have an SPT, that is shortest processing time, always given the highest priority in case of loading, because there is a short processing time, so that will be loaded first, and job with LPT, which is the longest processing time, will be loaded on later. Okay, so apart from all this, we have PCU, the another rule, that is the preferred customer order. Okay, that is the PCU, preferred customer order. So it is openly, it is open, this is open secret in all organizations. If some organization have a customer with a good relations, or customer with a previous known base, previous history, and a good customer, so if any job comes from that customer, that will be a preference, because the customer is already known to the organizations. So if any job comes from that customer, so that will be preferred by the organizations, and they are trying to done this job, they are trying to complete the job before anyone. Okay, because this is the case of preferred customers. Okay, now apart from this, we have LTR. LTR is the lead time, which is lead time remaining. This is LTR, lead time remaining. So in case of lead time, we have a calculation. We can calculate through a formula, we can calculate the critical ratio. Okay, critical ratio. So in LTR, the process is if any job has less, if any job have less critical ratio, if we calculate critical ratio, then if it is less, then that job will be in the highest priority. So less critical ratio will be given a highest priority. Okay, now the last one, the seventh rule is covert, that is COVERT. COVERT, that is the covert, is the sequencing, last sequencing rule actually. This is actually the cost over time, How we calculate cost over time? Cost over time is calculated, that is expected delay cost, expected delay cost, and that will be divided by processing time. Then we get the covert. Okay, so expected delayed cost divided by processing time, then we get a value of covert, COVERT, covert. Okay, now highest ratio, if this ratio is highest ratio is given the highest priority. Which job has highest ratio, that will be given in the highest highest type of priority. Okay, now another important here is the Gantt chart, GANTT, Gantt chart. Gantt chart, as you all know, it is developed in the by H.L. Gantt in 1917. Okay, that is in the Gantt chart. Now, how we actually how we use Gantt chart in case of our work. So, it is a we can get any simplified form of the Gantt chart. Gantt chart is heavily used material. So, it depicts actually the actual time of starting a project, time of start, and finishing of each job in, and every sub activity is noted within the chart. Every sub activity is noted within the chart, and then appears in total appearance. Then we get the during the total life of the project. Okay, so life of the product or life of the project, that is you can get the simplified, we always have a simplified process of getting Gantt chart. You can get the Gantt chart in anyone can arrange any Gantt chart in weekly wise, week 1, week 2, week 3. Okay, we have then first we have to get the select the job, and then we want fix the quantity amount of job. Then it is the process of selection, what type of operation needed to for this job. Then there is a list of the operation. First, suppose first we need a milling in the milling section. Then we suppose then we need a welding. Okay, then we need a finishing. Okay, then we need inspection of the product, and finally we can get the material delivered. Okay, so these are the operation schedule. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, taking this operation schedule in the left hand side, and in the above, we can in week 1, week 2, week 3, we can arrange any simplified Gantt chart for any of the product. Okay, now this is widely used in case of industry. Okay, Gantt chart is heavily used in case of any industry. Now, but there are another thing which is the normally arise from the area of assembly line. Okay, assembly line is a big area, one big part in case of a production system or manufacturing system. Now, two things, one is line layout and line balancing. This is two important concepts. One is line balancing and one is line layout. Okay, these two. So from where these things we get, there is the first moving assembly we get in the December 1913. We get the first moving assembly, and it is given by Henry Ford. Okay, that's the first moving assembly line, 1913. It is given by Henry Ford. Okay, now there is an improvement over the process during this long period of time. So, what type of improvement? During the first time, it was if we get a car, a four-wheeler. Okay, in the starting point, it takes 12 hours to assemble a four-wheeler. Okay, and now it is now the times comes down to it. Now it is take 2 hours and 30 minutes to assemble a four-wheeler. Okay, so this is actually the development. Okay, so 12 hours comes down to 2 hours and 30 minutes. Okay, now in total assembling process, there is 84 steps of assembling, 84 steps to be completed to assemble a four-wheeler. Okay, now as this type of assembly done by Henry Ford, but Henry Ford was advised by someone. Henry Ford was advised by someone who is F.W. Taylor. Okay, F.W. Taylor is as you well know, that is the we know the father of scientific management theory. So, F.W. Taylor was an advisory body to the Henry Ford organizations, and there is an also help to this. So, what is the present scenario in case of assembling in a four-wheeler? What is the present scenario now? So, now the development is that we have actually three things in a four-wheeler assembly. First is we have to assemble the engine. There is the engine assembly unit first. Second, we have to assemble the hood assembly, and third is the wheel installations. Okay, now the development is now in a position now. How much time it will take? Okay, now engine assembly first. Now it is take 20 minutes only to assemble an engine. Okay, so 20 minutes per engine, and for hood assembly it takes only 5 minutes to assemble a hood. Okay, so 20 minutes per engine, 5 minutes for hood, so it is 25 minutes. And then comes to the wheel installation. Installation take a time of 10 minutes. Okay, so totally it is 20 plus 5 plus 10, so it takes a 35 minutes to get ready for a four-wheeler. Okay, so which is think about that at the starting point the assembly time was 12 hours, then in the process of development it comes down to 2 hours and 30 minutes, and in present system now it is 35 minutes you can assemble a four-wheeler, you can assemble a car. So this is the actually the development of this section. Okay, one two line you must know that about Henry Ford. Okay, this is a big man in this area. Henry Ford was born in Michigan during the time of 1863. Okay, then you know. So after that, Henry was in company in 1891. During that time, there was an edition